My goodness. Okay, it is put this up here. That works. Thing underneath it. Nope. Battery. I'll throw a battery under this. All right, so I'm out here at Jones Beach. I'm trying to record a Easter video invitation promo type of thing. I thought it'd be cool to just be out by the water, and the weather is not cooperating. It's not like downpouring, it's just misting. You know the mist that you have over the vegetables in the vegetable section at the grocery store? That's what I feel that it's like out here right now. Anyway, it got me thinking, what do you do when life doesn't go as you planned? What do you do? If you live life for any amount of time, you know that this is a fact. It's not like you saw the title to this video and thought to yourself, no, Matt, life always goes the way I plan. That's silly sauce. Anyway, I just had a few thoughts. Maybe they'll be encouraging to you. Oh, it's kind of like stopped raining. So maybe I'll head outside here real quick so it's not just me talking to a camera in a vehicle. That's kind of boring. So I have a couple thoughts on this topic. And then at the end, I'll have a couple of ways that maybe you can think about the challenges of life a little differently that might help you out. So let's see if we can get this done here. All right, so yes, here I am in the back of our car, and I'm trying to catch the weather to where when it's not raining, I can get this little bit done. It's not really that long, so I really want to do it here. I guess while I wait here, I'll just go ahead and talk to you a little bit. So I think the first thing that comes to mind is oftentimes we start with the wrong assumption about life. And what I mean by that is there's an unspoken idea that if I plan well, if I strategize well, if I invest well, if I live my life well, then life will go well. And that's just not the case. That's not what we see in everyday life. You can plan and you can strategize and you can do the best you can, and sometimes life just does not end up the way that you thought. And when we're blindsided by that fact, I think it's because we have kind of assumed wrongly about how life really works. To quote the famous line from the poem from Robert Burns, he says, "The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry." And I think what he's talking about in the poem, obviously it's a mouse who builds his whole home, and then is destroyed in an instant. That's kind of how life hits us sometimes. We have life figured out and we're even headed that direction. Everything seems perfect, and then we get a diagnosis or we get some news that just absolutely turns life a different direction. And so we can have our best laid plans, but I think it's important that we hold them loosely because we just never know what's going to happen. Okay, I think I finally found some nice weather, so I'm going to try to shoot this video real quick. Thwarted by the rain once again. Urgh. Just a small update as I stand underneath my deal. Yeah, so the rain's just not going away. So I don't know. I might give up and just do it back at the church, but I do see some sunny skies coming. Well, not sunny, but they don't look like rain clouds. So back to my point about having the wrong assumption about life, and beyond the assumptions, we just can't control life. I mean, I can think of many instances where life was kind of turned upside down for me. I think back to when I was, a teenager playing basketball, enjoying life, thought, I was going to spend all my high school years playing sports and being, that was what I wanted to do, and had a little knee pain and went into the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, you have Osgood-Schlatter's disease and you're never going to play sports again. And this was like in junior high. And I remember being devastated in that moment. Probably wasn't the right thing for him to say, because then come to find out you can actually play with Osgood-Schlatter's disease. But that aside, it was a moment where I felt like my whole world was crashing. And then here recently with my diabetes diagnosis, that was another moment. It was short-lived in the sense that, hey, life goes on and I had to readjust my plans, and I'm still adjusting. It's kind of what life has thrown at me, and I know that it could, boy, this is annoying, but I know that it could, quickly turn again in any direction. And so I guess maybe why you're here listening to this video and why I'm making this video is, how then do we better adjust to life? Or how better do we look at life? Maybe that's the question we need to answer. All right, this is probably a horrible idea because it's just raining out here. I figured I could at least do this video in the rain. I'm just have to do it quick so my gear doesn't get super wet. I have 3 ideas and a bonus, so you'll have to stay to the end to get the bonus one. 3 ideas: plan, adapt, and be flexible. Plan, adapt, and be flexible. To plan in life is actually a very wise thing to do. So even though I said we can't predict life, or we can't necessarily plan how exactly life is going to work out for us, it's still wise to plan in life. And this is found in scripture. We can go to Proverbs 21:5, where it says, the plans of the diligent lead to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. It's important that we plan. It's important that we put into place really wise things about our money, education, if we have a family, like where we're gonna live, how we're gonna take care of them, how we plan our free time, how we plan to get to that next career level or whatever that might be. So there's many things that we plan for. There's many things that really we're negligent if we don't plan for. So don't hear me that planning is not an important thing because we can't figure out life anyway and we can't control life. We still plan, but then that leads me to the second one. So the second one, or the second point that I have, is to adapt. That when we make plans, we adapt to when life doesn't go the way that we thought it would. Sure, we think of all the things that we should be diligent in and mindful of in life. When life throws you that wrench or that lemon or whatever might happen, we adapt, meaning that's not the direction I can go right now, or that's not feasible anymore, whatever that challenge or that roadblock might be. And then we adapt and we move to maybe plan B, lemons into lemonade. And you've heard those phrases before. That's just adapting. That's not being so set in your ways that when things just don't go exactly the way you wanted them to, that you just freeze and you don't know how to move forward. I see it this way. I make my plans, but then I hold them out like this, knowing that God's going to do what he's going to do in the midst of my best laid plans. I have to keep wiping off this lens because it's getting wet. It's not coming down super hard, so let me just finish with this. The last one is be flexible, and that's kind of like adapting. I think it's much in the same family. Adapting might be kind of more bigger picture, but being flexible is like in the moments where we're really not certain or sure. But being flexible I see as maybe a little more in our character or response, meaning that we don't freak out. I mean, there's moments where we're going to have panic or we're going to have worry or fear or those natural instincts, but overall we we have this position towards life where we can be flexible. We know that it's not always going to go the way that we had hoped. Yes, we'll adapt, but in the moment, we're flexible. We're flexible to see maybe a bigger picture, and that's really important. I think if we all were a little more flexible in life, even the little challenges or the big ones, we could move through those a little quicker, or we could adapt a little quicker if we had a spirit of flexibility. And sometimes that's really hard. Yeah, just something to think about, especially when life doesn't work out the way that you thought it would. All right, so I'm underneath the trusty old, back door of the car. It is what it is. But here's what I'll say in closing, and this is my bonus tip. I know this isn't going to apply to everybody, but maybe consider this if you're really frustrated with like how you can't predict life, and life is really kind of all over the place. Something that I do is I ask questions like, what is it, God, that you are trying to show me? What is it that you desire from me? Because the plans that I had seem to not be working or making sense. The crisis or the diagnosis or whatever it might be seems to tell me that maybe, he's up to something that I can't see. And so I ask those questions. In doing so, it's actually exciting in a way. And I'm not saying it's exciting to go through the hard stuff, but it's exciting to know that maybe God is guiding my life in a different direction or showing me things that I wasn't aware of before. We can get pretty narrow focused in our version of what life should be or what it should look like. And sometimes the most freeing moments in life are those where our plans fail. And for me, his plans are revealed. I know that might not resonate with everybody, but I want to conclude this video with an encouragement. The plans that we have for life oftentimes fail, or they don't work out exactly the way that we thought. But I think what it then leads to, perhaps, is more exciting and really what God intended for us in the first place. Maybe to have that perspective from the very beginning might help you navigate the challenges of actually going through those seasons when life isn't working out the way that you wanted it to. Hope that's encouraging for you. And I really hope it stops raining because I just want to film this real quick and go edit. See you guys. Here's the funny thing is, how I've been here waiting to record, my Easter invitation, which by the way, I just did. But while I was standing there in front of the camera, like right off to the side, like right out in here, right out in there, some sea lions came up and they were like barking and talking. And I mean, literally, as far away as my car right here. So my car right there. And that stick like right there, and they were literally that close. What a bummer, because that would have been so cool.